History doesn't end in explosions. It ends in decisions. Nations don't collapse only when cities burn. They collapse when power is taken. When fear wins. When restraint disappears. America likes to believe it was inevitable. That it was destined to survive. It wasn't. Tonight, we open the ChronoVault and uncover the 5 moments when the United States of America came terrifyingly close to its end. And the very few people who pulled it back from the edge. This is ChronoVault. Number 5. George Washington and the power he refused, 1783 to 1789. The war was over. Britain was gone. America had won. But victory created a new problem. Who would rule? The Continental Army hadn't been paid. Congress was weak. The states distrusted each other. And George Washington was worshipped. Officers openly discussed a monarchy. Some believed the republic was already failing. Others begged Washington to take control. Just temporarily, they said. Important figures present: George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, officers of the Continental Army, members of the Confederation Congress. This moment had a name: the Newburgh Conspiracy. Washington could have said yes. No law stopped him. No army opposed him. Instead, he stood before his officers, pulled out a letter, and struggled to read it. Then he paused and said, "Gentlemen, you must pardon me. I have grown gray in your service, and now find myself growing blind." Some officers cried. Not because of weakness, but because power had just been rejected. Later, Washington resigned his commission. Then years later, stepped down again after 2 terms as president. If Washington had taken the crown, America would have died before it learned to walk. Number 4. James Madison and the Constitution that prevented collapse, 1787. The revolution didn't create a strong nation. It created 13 rival states. The Articles of Confederation were failing. No federal taxes. No standing army. No enforcement power. States printed their own money. Some threatened war against each other. The United States was already breaking apart. Enter James Madison. Not a general. Not a hero in paintings. A quiet, obsessive thinker. Key figures in the room: James Madison, George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Gouverneur Morris, Benjamin Franklin. The Constitutional Convention wasn't peaceful. It was brutal. Small states versus big states. North versus South. Federal power versus state sovereignty. Many delegates walked out. At several points, failure seemed inevitable. Madison arrived with a plan so radical it shocked the room. A strong federal government. Separation of powers. Checks and balances. A system built on distrust of human nature. The Constitution wasn't written because they trusted leaders. It was written because they didn't. Without Madison's framework, America doesn't survive the 18th century. It fractures into rival republics. And democracy becomes a failed experiment. Number 3. Abraham Lincoln and the Civil War, 1861 to 1865. This was America's closest brush with death. 11 states seceded. The Constitution was ignored. Half the nation rejected the other half. Many believed democracy had failed. That large republics were impossible. Abraham Lincoln didn't want war. But once it came, He refused to let the nation die. Key figures involved: Abraham Lincoln, Jefferson Davis, Ulysses S. Grant, William Tecumseh Sherman, Frederick Douglass. Lincoln suspended habeas corpus. He expanded executive power. He was accused of becoming a tyrant. Here's the uncomfortable truth. To save democracy, Lincoln temporarily bent it. If the Union fractured, the U.S. would never reunite. Slavery would expand. Global democracy would collapse as an idea. When the war ended, Lincoln didn't celebrate. He spoke of malice toward none. Days later, he was assassinated. The Union survived, but just barely. Number 2. FDR and the Great Depression plus World War II, 1933 to 1945. By 1933, America was desperate. Banks collapsed. Unemployment exploded. Faith in capitalism evaporated. Fascism was rising worldwide. Communism tempted the desperate. America stood at a fork in the road. Franklin D. Roosevelt entered office as the system was dying. Key figures: Franklin D. Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt, Francis Perkins, Winston Churchill. The New Deal didn't fix everything, but it prevented revolution. Then came World War II. Had the Allies lost, Europe falls permanently. Fascism becomes dominant. America becomes isolated or authoritarian. FDR led the U.S. through both economic collapse and global war. Critics called him dangerous. Supporters called him necessary. He didn't save America by perfection. He saved it by adaptation. Number 1. Harry Truman and the Nuclear Age, 1945 to 1950. The war ended, but a new terror was born. The atomic bomb gave humanity the power to erase itself. Military leaders urged Truman to strike first, to dominate the world through fear. Key figures: Harry S. Truman, General Douglas MacArthur. Early Cold War strategists. MacArthur wanted nuclear war in Korea. Truman said no. He fired the most famous general in America. That decision likely prevented early nuclear escalation. World War III. Human extinction. History didn't survive because of strength. It survived because of restraint. America wasn't saved once. It was saved again and again. Not by destiny, but by flawed humans choosing restraint over control. And the question history leaves us with is this: if those moments happen today, would the right people still say no? This has been ChronoVault, where history doesn't glorify, it reveals. Subscribe, because the past isn't dead. It's waiting.